Hello there, you're watching All 24 News, world news programme broadcasting live from Algiers. I'm Karim Zachary. Let's explore tonight's top stories. Tonight, horrific Zionist massacres killed dozens in Gaza. A grieving doctor receives the bodies of her 9 children. And UN Chief Guterres calls it the most brutal phase of the war. Details just ahead. Next up, Algeria reaffirms its commitment to global health solidarity. Algerians shouldn't shine in Huawei's World Finals. And cinema legend Lakhdar Hamina passes away. President Abdelmajid Tebboune sends his condolences. Coming up as well, in Libya, protesters give the Presidential Council 24 hours to act. El-Menfi urges calm as the African Union pushes for a lasting ceasefire. We'll have full details on these developments shortly. Also in tonight's headlines, in Ukraine, 15 injured in a major Russian strike on Kiev. Missiles and drones shut down while Zelensky demands tougher sanctions on Moscow. Stay tuned, full details coming right up. Welcome back to the program. In our news tonight, 14 Palestinians have been killed and dozens more wounded after a series of Zionist airstrikes pounded residential areas in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. According to the Palestinian Information Center, Zionist warplanes struck a home near Asda city, killing 5. Another 7, including 3 children, died in a desperate. Let me catch up on that again. I said 3 children died in a separate strike on apartments in El Amal neighborhood. 2 more were killed in the coastal El Mawasi area.
What do you want from us? Just let us live. My father was martyred at the beginning of the war, and now my mother is injured. Let us live. We don't want to die. Just let us live. By God, everyone who died is now at peace, and they are in paradise. God is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs.
In the same context, with most hospitals on the brink of collapse and severe shortages of food, water, and fuel, medical staff in Gaza are overwhelmed and families devastated. In Khan Yunis, a pediatrician faced unthinkable tragedy, losing her 9 children at once in a deadly Zionist strike. Let's get the story by Zahra Fajani now.
The nightmare in Gaza shows no end. As relentless bombardment pushes the territory's healthcare system to the brink of collapse, hospitals now resemble battlefields. In the north, medical facilities lie shuttered, victims of airstrikes. But here at Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital, the wounded keep coming.
With hospitals in the north completely shut down, all patients are flooding here. The burden on Al-Shifa is enormous. We are stretched beyond limits. The hospital simply cannot keep up with the rising number of wounded and sick.
Last week, 4 more major hospitals suspended operations as bombs closed in. Just 19 out of Gaza's 36 hospitals remain functional. Nearly all are damaged.
We are essentially operating a field hospital. Beds are all taken, emergency wards are saturated every day. We lack essential medical supplies. Everything from chest drains to basic consumables. Much of our equipment is worn out, broken, and impossible to replace amidst the war.
For patients like Ahmed Al-Burri, survival means enduring unimaginable conditions.
I woke up in a hallway, not knowing where I was. People were rushing past. After surgery, I was placed on the floor because there was no room, no beds, no toilets. I can't move much because of my condition. This is how we survive here.
But amid this collective suffering, one story pierces the heart. Dr. Ala Al-Najjar, a pediatrician at a Tahrir hospital, faced a horror no parent should endure. Her 9 children, ranging in age, the eldest barely 12, were all killed in a single bombing that also destroyed their home.
All that remains are their photographs. Their bodies were burned beyond recognition. The memories are all we have now.
In Gaza, medical workers battle not only a siege of violence, but also the shattering pain of loss, exemplified in the story of a mother who has given everything and is left with little but memories and prayers. As the world looks away, Gaza's medical heroes cling to fading hope, their resilience tested, their losses immeasurable, their cries for help echoing into an indifferent sky.
On a similar note, a deadly day across Gaza, Zionist airstrikes and drone attacks leave dozens dead and many more wounded. In Rafah's Mawasi area, at least 7 people were killed and over 60 injured when warplanes opened fire on Palestinians waiting for humanitarian aid. In northern Gaza, a drone strike on displacement tents claimed the lives of 14, including 2 children. Bombings in Jabalia, Tufah, and Nusayrat left more civilians dead, many of them women and children, as the toll from the ongoing genocidal war continues to mount.
Moments ago, the Israeli occupation targeted a group of civilians, apparently a family, who were evacuating along Salahuddin Street near the Al-Shakra area. They were targeted by a drone strike and were all martyred. Their bodies are now in Al Ahli Baptist Hospital. The scene in Gaza City, particularly in the eastern areas, is tragic and extremely difficult. The airstrikes have not stopped. The shelling has not stopped. The hospital is overcrowded with wounded civilians who continue to arrive every minute. The situation here in Gaza is extremely dire, and it seems we are entering a new phase. The Israeli occupation is now heavily bombarding Salahuddin Street. Anyone who moves there is immediately targeted and killed. There are a number of martyrs lying in the eastern areas of Salahuddin Street, specifically in Shujaye and Al Tufah neighborhoods, and no one is able to reach them.
And to put these casualties into perspective, the Palestinian Health Ministry says 79 people were killed and over 200 injured in the past 24 hours alone. Since the war began on October 7th, more than 53,900 have been killed and over 122,000 wounded. The ministry also reports that since the occupation resumed its offensive on March 18th, nearly 3,750 people have been killed, with many still missing. In another important development in Gaza City, a child has died from starvation. The Palestinian Health Ministry confirmed the death of young Mustafa Yassin at the Baptist Hospital, citing severe dehydration, malnutrition, and lack of medicine. The ongoing blockade and months-long restriction of humanitarian and medical aid have made basic survival a daily struggle. Aid groups warn that Gaza is now facing a full-blown famine, with children bearing the brunt of the crisis.
الطفل محمد ياسين من سكان مدينة غزة.
The child Muhammad Yassin, a resident of Gaza City, has died of starvation in Al Tufah due to Israeli blockade preventing the entry of aid, food and water. He's not the first child to die in Gaza because of hunger. Thousands of children have suffered and died due to famine and starvation in Al Tufah. If food and water are not delivered to the children and residents of Gaza, we will witness even more child deaths. We will witness more fatalities due to the complete lack of basic necessities in Gaza. What was the sin of this small child to die like this? The international community, global organizations, and all of humanity, if any humanity remains, must act now to end this suffering.
And in response to these alarming developments, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has sharply condemned the ongoing Israeli offensive in Gaza, describing it as the most brutal period Palestinians have endured so far. In a statement Friday, Guterres highlighted the horrific scale of killing and destruction. He also criticized the limited aid reaching Gaza, saying the small amounts allowed in fall far short of what's desperately needed to address the worsening humanitarian crisis.
The Palestinians in Gaza are living through the most brutal period of this harsh conflict as Israel intensifies its military offensive, especially amid the escalation of the Israeli attack to horrific levels of death and destruction. Out of approximately 400 trucks that were allowed to enter Gaza through the Karim Shalom crossing, supplies were collected from only 115 trucks at a time when the situation requires a massive influx of aid.
Meanwhile, on the international front, Algeria has taken a leading role in defending Palestinians' right to health on the international stage. At the World Health Assembly in Geneva, Algeria's National Agency for Health Security highlighted its key efforts that helped include Palestine in the international health regulations. This milestone reaffirms Algeria's steadfast support for just causes in global forums. Algeria also renewed its commitment to international health solidarity, pushing for a fairer and more sustainable global health system amid ongoing challenges. Moving on, or shifting focus to another proud moment for Algeria. The country has made waves at the 2025 Huawei ICT Global Finals in Shenzhen, China, with an impressive haul of awards. Out of over 200,000 students from 114 countries, Algerian teams took home top honors in computing, cloud, and networking categories. Trainer Abdelraouf Abli from the University of Boumerdès also claimed the grand prize for trainers. Algeria's innovation team, competing for the first time, secured third place. On the occasion, President of the Republic Abdelmajid Tebboune praised the students' historic achievement, highlighting how universities from across Algeria climbed the international ranks. In culture and news, the Algerian film world mourns the loss of Mohamed Lakhdar Hamina, who passed away Friday at the age of 95. The acclaimed director and producer was laid to rest Saturday evening at Sidi Yahya Cemetery in Algiers. Dr. Hamina's distinguished career spanned over 50 years, leaving an enduring legacy as a pillar of Algerian and Arab cinema. His work continues to inspire filmmakers and audiences alike across the region. Taking a closer look at his remarkable journey, the renowned filmmaker Mohamed Lakhdar Hamina was the only Arab and African director to win the prestigious Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Passing away yesterday at age 95, Hamina dedicated his lens to telling the story of Algeria and giving a voice to the oppressed. Salman Asib reports now.
Algeria and the world bid farewell this Saturday to a towering figure of cinema, Lakhdar Hamina, who passed away this Friday at the age of 85. His death marks the loss of visionary whose cinematic legacy transcends borders, resonating across Algeria, the Arab world, and far beyond. Lakhdar Hamina remains the only Arab and African filmmaker to have ever claimed the prestigious Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, an honor he earned in 1975 for his masterpiece Chronique des années de braise, Chronicle of the Years of Ember.
Chronique des années de braise, réalisée par M. Lakhdar Hamina.
Born on February 26, 1934, in Msila, deep in Algeria's Aures Mountains, Lakhdar Hamina came from humble peasant roots. Yet his journey took him far beyond those beginnings. A committed revolutionary, he joined Algeria's liberation struggle through the provisional government in Tunisia. It was there that the fate led him to the world of filmmaking. Together with collaborator Jamal Chandali, he crafted groundbreaking works like Voice of the People and Rifles of Liberty films that wielded the camera as a weapon, exposing the anguish, sacrifice, and unyielding courage of Algeria's fight for freedom. His Palme d'Or-winning film was more than just a tale of anti-colonial resistance. It was a universal cry for human dignity, a cinematic monument to a revolution whose message resonated far beyond Algeria's borders. In a twist of fate, Lakhdar Hamina's passing coincided with the 15th anniversary screening of his Cannes-winning film at Cannes Classics, a restored version paying tribute to his timeless impact. The poignant timing serves as a testament to his enduring influence, a bridge between past struggles and timeless art. Before he was a cinematic legend, he was first and foremost a freedom fighter, using his lens to immortalize the Algerian people's resilience and transforming their story into a beacon for liberation movements worldwide. As the curtain falls on his remarkable life, the world remembers a man who turned revolution into art and art into revolution. Mohamed Lakhdar Hamina leaves behind a legacy that will continue to inspire, a testament to the power of cinema to ignite change, challenge injustice, and elevate the human story.
Following his passing, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune expressed deep sorrow over the passing of Mohamed Lakhdar Hamina at age 95. President of the Republic Abdelmadjid Tebboune highlighted the filmmaker's international legacy, recalling the 50th anniversary of his Palme d'Or win at Cannes for Chronicle of the Years of Embers. The film opened the world's eyes to Algeria's colonial struggle. More than an acclaimed director, Hamina was a dedicated freedom fighter who immortalized the heroic spirit of Algeria's liberation through his powerful cinema. Turning now to diplomatic developments in Nouakchott, Algeria's ambassador to Mauritania, Amin Said, received the official shield marking Algeria as the capital of Hassani culture for 2025. The handover took place during a ceremony on Friday, held alongside the conclusion of the Algerian-Mauritanian Economic Forum. The second edition of this cultural event is set to kick off on June 21st at the Mufti Zakaria Palace of Culture in Algiers, following last year's successful inaugural edition in Nouakchott.
Through this cultural and human dimension, we seek to establish a human bridge, one that existed before us and before the states themselves. It is a profound dimension. I say we are here to serve this dimension in every sense of the word. The year 2025 will be a year dedicated to culture par excellence, a year of Hassani culture in Algeria. There will, of course, be a major festival at the end of June, bringing together the peoples of the Hassani cultural sphere from sisterly Mauritania, Algeria, Western Sahara, Niger, Mali, and others, so they can freely express themselves and convey this important popular dimension of connection and communication among the peoples of the region.
Alongside cultural ties, Algeria and Mauritania have strengthened their trade ties by signing 2 memoranda of understanding on consumer protection and modernizing the commercial registry system. The agreements were signed Friday by Algerian Minister Taïb Zitouni and Mauritanian Minister Zainab Ahmedna during a dinner marking the closing of the Algerian-Mauritanian Economic Forum in Nouakchott. To other regional news, thousands of protesters in Libya's capital Tripoli have given the Presidential Council a 24-hour ultimatum to meet their demands, warning of escalating unrest if ignored. They're calling for the dissolution of all political bodies and the formation of a crisis committee to manage affairs temporarily. The demonstrators demand a referendum on the draft constitution and elections by July 25, 2026. Meanwhile, the Presidential Council head, Mohamed Al-Menfi, urged peaceful protests and praised security forces for protecting demonstrators. In response, the African Union has called for a permanent ceasefire in Libya following deadly clashes in Tripoli earlier this month. The AU's Peace and Security Council condemned the recent violence in a statement on social media, urging an unconditional ceasefire. The Council also called for a comprehensive Libyan-led reconciliation process, one free from foreign interference, to restore peace and stability in the country. Moving to Eastern Europe now, Kiev endured one of its largest drone and missile attacks, with at least 15 injured and damage to several residential buildings. Successive waves of Russian drones triggered multiple explosions across the Ukrainian capital. Meanwhile, Russia announced control of 3 towns in eastern Ukraine and claimed to have downed a Ukrainian fighter jet along with 174 drones. Both sides reported intercepted missiles and drones, including attacks on military and industrial targets near Odessa and Kiev. Following up on this, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that Moscow will not agree to a ceasefire unless tougher sanctions are imposed on key sectors of the Russian economy. Zelensky pointed to Russia's recent massive drone and missile attacks as proof of its unwillingness to pause the conflict. Meanwhile, the European Union is preparing new sanctions, including bans on transactions with over 20 Russian banks, limits on oil prices, and restrictions on gas pipelines, aiming to cut Moscow's revenue amid the ongoing war. And in broader geopolitical news, Russia has accused Western countries of rejecting the idea of multipolar world. Speaking at the 33rd annual meeting of the Russian Council for Foreign and Defense Policy, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the West's response to growing global multipolarity has been mixed. Lavrov emphasized that Russia views the emergence of a multipolar world as a natural and inevitable development in international relations.
The most important issue for us now is the formation of a multipolar world. The global South and East see multipolarity as an opportunity to strengthen their sovereign development without the manifestations of neocolonialism that have spread in recent years from the West. It is clear that the West views the strengthening of multipolar principles in international life with great ambiguity. We are convinced that the formation of a multipolar world is a natural process.
In other news, in Europe still, a major power outage struck southeastern France on Saturday, including Cannes and nearby areas, just as the Cannes Film Festival reached its final day. The electricity grid operator reported that 160,000 homes were affected. Local officials and prosecutors say the outage may have been caused by a suspected arson attack targeting an electricity substation and a power pylon near Cannes.
Cannes is in like a total slowdown, meltdown. There is no coffee anywhere, and I think the town has run out of croissants. I mean, this is like crisis territory. So the power's cut out. I think it cut out about an hour ago. It's a citywide power cut. So I've been to a couple of different restaurants around here. These guys are going to close down. I think everyone's just taking the day off. That's what's happening.
On the computer, we can't do anything. We can't write. There are no printing machines available, and people can't use them anymore. The machines have no batteries left, so we're only receiving printed money. We can't print anything ourselves.
Apparently there was a fire or something close to one earlier today. At home the radio stopped working and the oven went out again. People are getting worried about different things, but the biggest concern is safety. There have been many accidents because the traffic lights in the city no longer work. In short, that's the real problem, people's safety.
Le seul vrai problème pour moi c'est celui-ci, la sécurité des gens.
Turning to economic news now, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to escalate his trade war with the European Union by imposing a 50% tariff on goods imported from the bloc, starting June 1st, that is. Speaking at the White House, Trump criticized the slow pace of trade negotiations, accusing the EU of unfair treatment and restricting American car sales. He blamed these actions for the large trade deficit the U.S. faces with Europe.
They're just very slow moving. I've been saying to everybody, they've treated us very badly over the years. It was formed in order to hurt the United States, in order to take advantage of the United States, and they've done that. We have a big deficit with them. They sell millions and millions of cars, as you know, Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen and many others, and we were restricted from, essentially restricted from selling cars into the European Union, which is not nice. And I just said it's time that we play the game the way I know how to play the game. You know, they've taken advantage of other people representing this country, and they're not going to do that any longer. Yeah.
In response, the European Union says it is ready to work in good faith with the United States to reach a fair trade agreement, one based on respect, not threats. European Commissioner for Trade, Maroš Šefčovič, emphasized the EU's commitment to a deal that benefits both sides following recent talks with U.S. trade officials. He also highlighted the importance of preserving the strategic partnership between the EU and the U.S. amid rising trade tensions.
Trade between the European Union and the United States is unparalleled and should be based on mutual respect, not threats. We are ready to defend our interests. The European Commission is always prepared to work in good faith to reach an agreement.
Now the news in brief with Yasin Arekti.
Thousands of Moroccans marched on Friday demanding an end to normalization and all ties between the Moroccan government and Israeli occupation. Protesters condemned the presence of Israeli occupation forces in Morocco and their participation in the African Lion military drills, calling it complicity in the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. 7 Sudanese migrants were found dead from starvation in the desert near Kufra, southeastern Libya, after their vehicle broke down while crossing from Chad, according to local emergency services. Authorities said 22 others were hospitalized and 5 remain missing. Meanwhile, the Sudanese Doctors Network reported 13 starvation deaths at Chad's Gadra refugee camp, citing severe shortages of food, medicine, and a growing health crisis. Syria has welcomed the US decision to lift economic sanctions, calling it a positive step toward easing the country's humanitarian and economic crisis. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry expressed support for cooperation based on mutual respect and non-interference, emphasizing that dialogue and diplomacy are key to fostering regional stability and balanced international relations. Russia accused French President Emmanuel Macron of orchestrating the arrest of Telegram founder Pavel Durov to influence Romania's upcoming elections, according to Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova. Zakharova claimed Paris could no longer conceal the real motives behind the arrest, citing alleged evidence of efforts to silence Romanian conservative channels on Telegram at the request of France's intelligence chief.
And that's the end of our news. Thank you for watching and take care.